End of Act 7. Divine Rot. As the invasion of Soria by the Orcs and their allies commences, and the war between the different human factions intensifies after a new queen has been put on the elven throne, the demons keep making progress. All their attempts to invade Soria have failed. They're pushing Carol's defenders back further and further. High Lord Inquisitor Randall Vanduris has left the capital of Carol to take control of a fortress set up by the Golden Guard, the place from which they want to unleash a new, yet unfinished weapon. In the meantime, the Watcher of Arkain watches the events unfold from the top of his mountain, and he does not like what he sees. Oh? The Golden God does not appreciate being called upon like some lapdog, Dorton. Your messenger claimed that you wish to speak with me in person, and that you have captured the traitor Woodcore. I find that rather hard to believe. The only reason I have even come here is because I'm the commander of the garrison of the Golden Guard in your capital, and have certain obligations due to that privilege. Now speak, my time is short. It is true that Gardon Bloodcore is not here, Captain. However, it's only a matter of time until that changes. I've invited him to come here. Invited him? What an ingenious plan. He'd run right into our arms by coming here. Why would he risk that? I'll tell you, Imperial. For too long, my people have allowed your kind to rule over us. Accepting to become vassals of the Empire during the last war was one of the greatest mistakes of our realms. Desperation and opportunity lured us into your Imperial cause. But no longer. Dorton, don't do this. It'll be the last mistake you ever make. Even if the High Lord doesn't get you, the demons will. I've been informed that your Golden Guard intends to leave us to die at their hands anyway. Working with you no longer benefits the kingdoms. You've betrayed us, and will pay the price. As we speak, your men in the city are already being burned alive. The garrison has been set aflame. Filthy traitor, you will regret this. Archers, kill them. This is just the beginning. All over the kingdoms, the remnants of the Golden Guard will be hunted down and destroyed. Their arrogance led to their downfall, and with their fall, the kingdoms shall be free once more. Inform Bloodcore's messenger that the deed has been done, Therese. We have removed the Golden Guard from the capital and are ready to discuss the terms of an alliance. As you wish, Father. It is time you told me the truth, Brian. I want to know what you know about this Aradon character, what role you and the undead play in all of this. And there are still other things regarding recent events in the Empire itself you've yet to tell me. Of course, I promised to tell you more after the invasion with the situation with the elves was settled. Which it is. I'll tell you everything. I hope you have enough time. This will take a while. We have to go back to the first days of the world itself. Go ahead. When the gods were still young, they created this world and its first race, the Arcanians. Fortunately for them, their creation was flawed. Quite flawed, actually. It took a long time for them to realize that Arcanians eventually began to die out. The gods blamed each other and began a war amongst themselves, a war that also spread to their faithful Arcanian followers. The gods began killing each other. As they died, their very essence fell onto the ground of Arkain. The combination of several such essences resulted in the birth of the four: Zindrich, the demon god, Tigrak, the dark one, Barazel, the master of shadows, and Aradon, the avatar of death. You're telling me that the master of the undead is actually a creature with the power of several gods. The undead can rebel against him, and the demons can invade our lands with him, not doing anything about it. There's a reason why Aradon goes by the name Watcher nowadays, but Aradon also no longer possesses the same powers back then. Anyway, as the Four were born, they saw the gods destroy the world, and stop them in the only way they knew, by destroying the gods. The Four were still young and confused to act impulsively, rather than really thinking about it first. They struck and killed the remaining gods. who were probably quite surprised about the whole affair. The world was close to total collapse due to the Lord Gods, and the Arcanians were no more. The Four could feel that the world was about to be destroyed and used their powers to prevent that from happening. They took the place of the gods. They watched the primitive races that survived develop, and created their own races as well. Aradon created the Dark Elves, Barazel the Shadows, and Zidris the Demons. Only Tigrak, the Dark One, didn't wish to create his own race, though I do not know why. Anyway, there was relative harmony. I find it hard to believe that there can be harmony as long as there are any demons still left in the world. Oh, they were different back then. Poor Zindrich might not even recognize them if he saw them today. So, a new world order was established, so to speak. How did it go all to hell then? And how did you end up in the Empire? Berzal. Please, call me Brian. It may sound less imposing, but I'm no longer who and what I was back then. More ways than one. Anyways, the peace lasted for a long time, but it will not last forever. Tigrak, the Dark One, betrayed us, stole members of the races we created and twisted them into his own servants. It was an unexpected move, to be honest. He seemed content living alone on his continent. Couldn't really afford trying to figure out what was happening. Aradon assured us that a prolonged war between the Four and with their divine powers would probably destroy the world, just as the War of the Gods almost had. So we struck before Tigrak could. Tregak could. It was a massacre, to put it mildly. My memories are not very clear about what exactly happened that day. I tried to reason with Tigrak, and the next thing I remember is that we were fighting, and I was losing. I was on the brink of death when Zindrich grabbed Tigrak and tore him apart, throwing his pieces all over the world. Do you really not remember the details, or are you still keeping secrets from me? If I want to keep any secrets here, I'm not told you that Tigrak bested and almost killed me. Fine, continue. Well, it didn't end there. Just as soon as Zindrak was done and we believed it to be over, Zaradon stabbed Zindrak in the back. He'd been obsessed with some balance for some time already, and believed that when the Four were only three, the balance was upset. So he decided to, as he put it, put an end to the Four. Zindrich exploded, literally. Berzal, died in the explosion. Trigak's continent sunk. The demons and their lands were devastated. They were scarred forever. Even Aradon didn't manage to leave unharmed, though he escaped it. Even though he escaped it. While he walked away from this conflict as the surviving member of the Four, Aradon certainly is no longer as powerful as he was before. He is still very powerful and dangerous, though. Aradon is the reason why the undead exist as a faction. I cannot imagine how many corpses he has at his disposal. With the Four disbanded, Aradon then decided to become a mere watcher of Arkain, letting mortals find their place without interference. Fortunately, as time progressed, his belief that he could never be wrong made him act rather than watch, when he was under the impression that his precious balance was threatened. If you, or Barazel, died, then how are you standing in front of me right now? A small part of Barazel's essence survived the explosion. It was locked away by what little remained of my shadow race in an ancient temple on the continent of Rodan. Until I found it. Or rather, the original Lord Brian did. He had already been experimenting with the use of shadow magic, used his vast riches to fund an expedition to the temple. He entered it with his family, friends, and the entirety of his household and mercenary forces. Inside the temple, he found the last bit of Barazel's essence that had remained. They merged, which was not intentional. For a long time, I wandered aimlessly through the halls of the temple. My mind was in a state of pure chaos and confusion. The soul of Barazel, or remained of it, emerged with the soul of Brian, creating an entirely new entity. It was both Brian and Barazel, yet I was neither of them. It took many decades until my mind had restored itself. I turned into the Brian who eventually became your mentor, and the only one who left the temple alive. I know I told you parts of that story in the past, and you've put things together yourself, so I believe it is good for you to hear the full story from me personally. What happened to the others? took decades. So, it is all the fault of Aradon and this Tigrak that we're in this mess. That doesn't make me hate the demons any less, though. Indeed, though Tigrak is probably also behind this demon invasion. He isn't dead, at least not anymore. Not sure how, but I assume his pieces have started to put him back together. What his plans are, I cannot say, but infiltrated both the Empire and the demons. Though I'm fairly certain he's no longer among the latter. Even for him, it would be quite a feat to stay among them for an extended period of time without being noticed. So, how likely is it that the undead elf told the truth? That there was a rebellion with the undead forces? Would a creature like Aradon let such a thing happen? Aradon cannot control these undead he has not raised, or that have not been raised through his own creations. His power is not unrestricted. If Ranandir Drakeskull has indeed not been risen by him, I believe that to be the case after having met his servants, then he makes his own decisions. Whether or not they told the truth is a different matter. You decided to accept their offer, and so far they've kept their end of the bargain. Either way, Aradon has no interest in the demons winning their invasion to begin with, so he might yet let you proceed. I'd still remain cautious. Aradon is an expert in stabbing others in the back, after all. I assume that even after the demon threat has been dealt with, he will be a threat. Perhaps. He hasn't been a direct threat for generations. He doesn't want mankind to be eradicated. He sees humans as part of the balance. So there is that. I see. Very well. We'll have to watch our backs, but we knew that already. It's too early to think about these things when there is still enough other enemies around. Can't say I like the fact that 4 seem to be coming back, one by one. What if this demon god awakens next? Dindris is still dead, and I doubt that will change. Explosion caused massive devastation. Aradon survived because he escaped the explosion. I am literally not the Berzell I used to be once, and Tigrak could only come back by putting himself back together over many generations, and I don't think he's been able to fully put himself back together. Dindris still could come back. At least not yet. It's time to meet with Dorton. If this Dark One has infiltrated the Empire, then dealing with the Golden Guard quickly has become even more important than it already was. The Dark One's the Emperor. He's like a nephew. And his radiance will protect me. The faithful will be protected. In our hearts, his divine light shines. Death is a part of life, and those who die in his service shall be reborn to sit by his side when the time is right. Pain is an illusion. There is no agony for those who have done him no wrong. My heart knows nothing but peace. Is that what they teach you at your preschool in Rodan? Do you believe this nonsense? I am but a tool. I am the extension of his will. In my service I find solace and true happiness. I would assume so. You imperial religious fanatics do like to turn your subjects into obedient servitors. No wonder your High Lord considered you a valuable tool. Blind and fanatical, just like the rest of your Golden Guard. You two have a master, don't you, Ranandir Drakeskull? How is blindly following the orders of your master any different from blindly following the orders of the High Lord? Interesting. I did not expect to find yet another Imperial who knew my name. Then again, I assume the mortals that survived their encounter with me have lived to tell the tale. But what do you know of me apart from my name? You were a legendary demon hunter in life. You defended Rengar from its enemies for many generations. You were kind and good-hearted, filled with mercy and generosity. The people loved you, and the loyalty of your followers knew no bounds. You were the greatest hero, Rengar. Then you fell in battle, betrayed and forsaken. How do you know all of this, child? My mother hails from Rengar. She married an Imperial and moved to the Empire before I was born. My grandmother told me your story as her grandmother had told her before. It means a lot to my family. Your last battle was not for naught. My family lived in the village that was close to your battlefield. The demons would have destroyed it had you not defeated them. You were outnumbered. You and your man had been betrayed, yet you kept fighting, killing every single demon, because you knew that otherwise innocents who would not have been able to protect themselves would die. Damn hero. You fell, betrayed, and stabbed in the back by those you were loyal to, those you trusted. Some never forgot your name and deeds. You lost yourself to bitterness, but my powers in a joke tell me that you are no vile being. But behind this facade there is sadness, anger, and pain. I did not expect this, but I see this as a sign of my God that there is still good in you. Your God is dead, child. The dead God gives no signs. He is obsessed with his own power, paranoid, foolish, egotistic, untrustworthy, self-destructive. Just like my king was, just like all mortal rulers eventually turn out to be. I pity you, Lord Treeskull. You are a good man who lost himself to the darkness of desperation. The betrayal has made you bitter and turned your heart to stone. It pains me to see you like this. I always like the stories that my grandmother told me about you. I pray to my God that you'll find your peace one day, no matter what pain you inflict upon me. Tell me, girl, are your mother and grandmother still alive? They are. If you insist on praying to your dead God, then pray that you never meet them again. Grenadier, I forgive you. You shouldn't. Orders are orders. The master knows what he's doing. Something is amiss. My vision has never failed me before. Even if something did end up differently from what I intended, I could already prepare for it, and emergency plan set in place. The orcs didn't succumb to infighting like when they were supposed to. They marched towards the lands of Imperials faster than they should have. Instead of dying by the waves of the humans and demons, they broke through the lines and made it easier for the demons to push through. Yeah, I'll catch up. The orcs seeking and succeeding in finding new allies. The arrival of the Red Fist, the returns of my siblings, a branch of orcs even worshipping me. I did not foresee this. I was incorrect. The Queen of the Elves should have been someone different. I couldn't foresee or prevent the attempt on her life. Solana barely survived, and only did so due to sheer coincidence. I have to reorganize my thoughts. Yes, they must have lost balance. That is how my vision could have been blurred. At least the alliance between the living and the dead could be forged, as I had planned, and a large portion of the orcs still fell in battle. You want to speak with me, Master? Ah, there you are, Crom. I've been expecting you. I had to be careful. Humans may have accepted the pact, but their trust has its limits. Indeed. I must congratulate you for successfully deceiving Barazel, even though I had not exactly satisfied with the way you did it. Give him information that he shouldn't possess. He already knows too much as it is. Telling him about the limits of my power or past attempts to raise the dead gods is a dangerous gamble. You gave me little choice in the matter. I had to add some truth to my story to make it believable. I prefer shooting people over deceiving them. Running to Barazel in the first place was bad enough as it is. Still don't quite understand the point of it all. Excuse me. I have my reasons, Crom. Mortals cannot defeat both their internal enemies and the demons at the same time. I'm not happy with the details. The results so far have been mostly acceptable. I think it's all getting a bit much for Aradon. The orcs have acted very differently from what we planned. Moving into Salria and making alliances has been very successful for them. Yes, it has. They've done anything they could not to act as I'd wanted them to. Almost as if... Wait. What's the... Barazel? Of course. Now I see it. Every time I've been wrong, every detail from my vision ended up being deviant from reality. The Barazel or Trigak were involved. They've been playing with me from the start. Deceived me. They think they can outmatch me. They think they can destroy all I've worked for during my entire existence. But they are wrong. I was the one who protected this world while Barazel was wasting his time cultivating some mortals. Protected it from what? Well, Trigak had to put himself back together to be able to do literally anything. I prevented mortals from killing themselves. While Zindrich is still dead, I'm defending this continent from his unthankful servants. Thankful for what? You shanked them. I was the only one who actually defended this world. I allowed its races to grow, only interfering when I had to, and keeping them most of my interference as small and discreet as possible. They did nothing. They played games, just like they did back when the Force still existed. The orcs should never have set foot on this continent. Someone helped them. Barzell, I bet. Well then, he tried to destroy the balance. Then I'll destroy the tools he wanted to use for it. The orcs will die by my hands, and so all of his apprentices if he doesn't get in line. Do as I say. No more games. The humans will unite their forces and defeat the demons. If they fail, I'll just raise them and use my vast armies to do it in their stead. Meanwhile, our forces will utterly eradicate the orcs and their allies. The Bonoids have slept for too long. It's time for them to return to service and lead the charge. Mark my words, Crom. No orc will be left standing when this war is over. Not a single one. What about the ones beneath Dead Mountain? The ones that, worship you? Be gone! Crom's just sees his boss and, God, losing his shit and just like, it's time to talk some shit. It's time to talk some shit. Okay, Crom has won some points there. Crom has won some points.